Good morning, everybody. I am Marian LaSalle, my co-host Russ Johns, and we are Future Media Association on the Future Media TV channel. Yay! We've got lots of great shows going on, including our own Marketing Ideas That Work. And today we have a special guest, Bonnie Frank. Every time I see Bonnie, I smile. And let me tell you why. She's got really good energy and she loves to share. Don't you just love people who love to share? Hi, Bonnie.
I love having discussions like that. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, guys. Welcome. Good morning. Welcome to everyone here.
Yes.
Yeah. Filling up the room.
We are excited to not only get the information that we want to out to the general public, but also to get inside your head and try to figure out what you're doing next, because you're always on the latest, greatest, the top of everything. So we can't wait to hear. So good morning, Russ. How are you?
Good morning. And Bonnie, we haven't officially met. However, I've kind of followed you around here and there. And so it's great to finally connect in person, virtually, right?
Virtually in person, yes. Virtually for real.
And hopefully we can talk about what marketing ideas are working for you and what you found and discovered along your path and journey. So I'm super excited about the show today. And Marian, good morning. I hope you're well.
Good morning. I look a little orange or yellow. I'm not really sure. Am I really tan or is it just
what's that color? It's like, holy cow.
I know. You guys look so pale compared to me.
We haven't been outside quite as much.
We haven't been outside yet. So, Bonnie, which part of the country are you located physically?
I am in St. Louis, Missouri. Where are you guys?
Oh. We're both located in Houston, Texas.
Oh.
So just south of you a little bit.
A little bit.
And so you've been on Blab. You've been a blabber for a while now and doing some things. You've been what's your biggest discovery along the way in specifically to Blab in terms of what it's done to benefit your business and your exposure online?
Well, yeah, I just checked. If you click on your profile, it will show how many days you've been on Blab.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I've been on Blab for 273 days, whatever that means. So I got on Blab a few weeks after I got on Periscope, and I know I got on Periscope July 3rd. And what Blab has done for me, I've gotten speaking engagements. I have a weekly column in a magazine now, or monthly column in iBlog magazine. I've gotten podcast interviews. I've gotten loads of followers. I've gotten clients directly from Blab. But actually, I mean, and all of that is great. But the most fun part about Blab, honestly, is meeting people who are just unbelievably incredible from all over the world, who you just know you would have never had the pleasure to meet before. It just wouldn't have happened.
Oh, it's insane. Some of the things that you come across in terms of conversation too, and having these, discoveries, if you will. We've talked with people all over the world, and it's amazing to see when you think about what's actually taking place in Blab as a conversation with the rest of the world and how much access we actually have with the rest of the world. It changes your perspective on what you're able to do with your business. I think that's what it does for me. How do you feel about that?
Oh, absolutely. And the whole, so Blab being a live streaming platform, my entire business was built from live streaming, my whole business. So I paid for an ad one time just to see what it was like. But other than that, all of my ads are unpaid on social media. So most of them being on Periscope and Blab. And it's, live streaming, Blab in particular, gets to the know, like, and trust factor exponentially faster than any other type of social media platform. I say this all the time, that if you take any classic social media platform and you put it up against any live streaming platform, live streaming is going to win every single time. because live streaming shows you as a full person, right? So I wear dangly earrings. I wear glasses. I have long hair. I talk with my hands. I cannot talk without my hands. If I sit on them, they'll be coming back up at some point soon. I can't help it. I always have coffee nearby. So me as a person before we even begin. And you're able to do that at such a wonderful and pure level, where a Twitter post, a Facebook post, even a blog post, where none of those things are going to get to the heart of the matter. You're going to have to watch maybe more than one YouTube video to even get an inkling of what somebody's like. And then to connect with that person in another way, there's going to be lag time, right? You either have to find them on Twitter, tweet them, or put a comment on the YouTube video, and then maybe they see it or maybe they don't. Maybe they reply to it, maybe they don't. And so there's a lag time to create that relationship. With live streaming, there's no waiting. Everything is immediate gratification on both ends. So the three of us are getting to know each other, immediate gratification. And then if people pop in and out, then they get to know us and we get to know them, immediate gratification. And there's nothing like it. Waiting for microwave popcorn now seems like an eternity, because I am gratified immediately all day long with live streaming. And to have to wait for anything, I'm like, are you kidding me? Can you not pop any faster?
Exactly.
Oh, I have some questions for you, Bonnie. I'm so excited. That was great. I loved your analogy. And a lot of people are afraid of video, so they don't jump in. But, that's their issues. And I try my best to talk them into, just trying it, because the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. Russ and I are more comfortable in front of the camera than we are any other place. So we don't understand that, but hey, we get it. So tell me what you think about other types of businesses. Can they do as well? Now, what we're selling are, how to do your own shows and how to do social media and whatnot. But what about people that have a brick and mortar? What about people who have other types of businesses? Is it just as good for them, and what can they do?
Yeah, I am firmly convinced that any business, I don't care if you're an online business or if you're a brick and mortar business, I don't care if you're local or you're global, it doesn't matter. Any business can be built and any business can grow with live streaming. There's just a little, tweaks of the trade that you need to do, just like anything else. There's a better way to tweet and there's a not so much better way to tweet, right? So you don't want to have your tweet 140 characters. You want to have it in the sweet spot between 70 and 100. So yes, that is true. Write that down. And it's the same thing with live streaming. There are ways to do it better, but absolutely anybody and any business, I don't care what your business is, can be built up with live streaming. Anybody can do this. I mean, honestly, anybody. And the thing about being afraid, and I totally get that. I mean, I have decades of experience as a teacher, so I have absolutely no hesitation about making a fool of myself in front of people that I don't know. I'm fine with that. So live streaming was just another way to do that. That's okay. But the thing about live streaming is the audience is so forgiving. They don't expect perfect. You don't get perfect with live streaming. So you don't have to strive for it because it's not going to happen anyway. And then when it doesn't happen, your audience is like, well, that's okay because it's live. I totally understand that.
It reminds me of the days when first cell phones first came out. Yeah, you're running around the corner. Can you hear me now? Right?
Oh, that's funny.
It's the same forgiveness that takes place in that arena because it's so new,
well,
right?
Everybody can have an excuse of why they won't feel comfortable in front of the camera. Russ and I have a partner who is fantastic. She's gorgeous. I'm gorgeous, right? Her kids are gorgeous. She's gorgeous. There's no reason physically that she wouldn't want to be on camera. And yet she can talk herself into it. I'm like, you know what? A person like me could say, oh, well, I need to lose a little more weight before I do it. Or I need to, make sure that my hair is just right or whatever. I say, forget it. Just be you. And the people that are attracted to you are going to just love you. And the people that aren't are just going to go on down the road. And good. You didn't want them anyway, right?
Absolutely. That's 100% true. Just be yourself. And I mean, you've heard it, build it and they will come. Well, the truth of the matter is be yourself on live streaming and your audience really will find you. There's no best time of the day for any particular audience. It's what time works into your schedule. Thank God, because I do my business around my son's basketball schedule. It's what works for you and your audience will find you. If you are consistent, if you are passionate, and if you share valuable information every single time, your audience will find you and they will be loyal and they will invite their friends and followers too.
Let's talk about call to action, Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just put your stuff out there, maybe eventually somebody will ask you if they can hire you. Maybe. You have to have some kind of call to action. What do you do to get people to actually contact you?
Okay. So, and that's really important. And I always say, if you're on social media, if you are at a networking event, if you are writing a blog post and you're not providing a call to action, you're wasting your time. You're just wasting your time. Or you're just not really going to have a business that makes any money. You're just going to have a hobby that takes a lot of your time, which nobody has very much of these days. So calls to action are absolutely crucial. So this is what I do. If I'm on Periscope, for example, you can't type in something. Somebody else could type something in the chat. Somebody else could type in a link, but I cannot type in a link. So I always have cards. So I'll hold up a card and I will point to it. These are 4x6 index cards. I write with a Sharpie. And for example, I always have a bit.ly link. So bit.ly/BES webinar. This is a webinar that I'm doing on Thursday about my entrepreneur school, Bonnie's Entrepreneur School webinar. So I'll hold this up. I'll say, take a screenshot. You don't even have to write it down. Just take a screenshot. It'll be in your phone. Sign up for the webinar after the broadcast. So I will always have cards. I always have cards on Periscope, and some things that people don't even think about. Okay. So, I mean, my cards are right here. I always have them in order. So I always have my handle first, followed by my website, and then followed by whatever thing I'm going to be talking about or whatever thing I'm going to be promoting. So here is my free Biz Start and Grow mini course. There's another thing, right? So I always have those. And I tell people to do that all the time on Periscope. Now, it's no different, and that would be the same thing on Meerkat or Fire Talk or Meavy, any of those. Now, with Blab, I can obviously type something in the chat and it's a live link. And one of the beautiful parts of Blab, and there are so many, is that I can type in a link and it's a live link. So, for example, I can type in bit.ly/BES webinar.
I dropped it in there already.
Oh, thank you. You can go in, sign up for the webinar, and still be talking to us and still be listening to us and never leave your place in Blab. Never lose your place. So you can go and you can click on anything that's purple, any of those purple ones. You can follow people on Twitter. You can visit somebody's website. You can buy things in their store and come right back to Blab and never lose your place. So that's wonderful. And I tell people that they have to do calls to action. Part of being in business is that you have to sell. I don't care if you call it sales, if you call it coercion, I don't care what you call it. But if you're not going to sell, you're not going to be in business. It's just very simple. So somebody's got to be hawking your stuff. Somebody's got to let people know where you are, where they can find you, and how they can either take the relationship further or just immediately buy the stuff. So you got to tell them.
So that's excellent information, and for everyone in the group, I just really appreciate the some of the feedback from the call to action, how to get people the information in Periscope. Now, since you've been on Blab since nearly the beginning, you've seen when it first started out, there was a huge spike. And I mean, we were getting a lot of people in the rooms, right? Mm-hmm. And so now it's flattened out. It seems to be stabilizing. There's a few changes here and there. Things are evolving. And so what is your call to action for getting people to your Blab sessions?
Okay.
There's a lot of people, there's still a lot of people that have never heard of Blab. You look at them and they're deer in headlights and they're going, Blab, I've never heard of Blab. Well, that's bubble talk. We call it bubble talk. So what do you do to educate and inform people to get into your Blab session so you can actually have that conversation with them and share that call to action?
Right. So, most people have not heard of Blab. There are still people who don't have Twitter. I mean, there are people who do not have smartphones. I mean, there's all sorts of folks around. We're in this little tiny bubble of people and so we think that everybody's like us.
Right.
Oh, no. Most people are not like us. Most people don't know what Periscope is. They've never heard of Blab. It's Blab. That's ridiculous. Who would name something Blab, right? So people don't know about this. And thank God they did, because it is the most perfect name for this platform. I cannot possibly think of a more perfect one. So the first thing is, even though you could set up a Blab account in about 20 seconds and then another 20 seconds start a show and just go, you could do that. So from 0 to 40 seconds, you could have a Blab show. Mm-hmm. However, that's not what I would recommend. So this is what I would recommend. So I would suggest that you become, a participant in the chat for several different Blabs. And so everybody in the chat has lots of possible things that they could be doing right now, this very second, to get known. Number one, you see all those circles at the top? Those are all real life people. You could follow every one of those people. You could tweet to every one of those people. Great to Blab with you today. They'll be like, oh, wow, they were on the same Blab I was? I didn't know that. I'm going to check them out on Twitter. You could do that right now while I'm talking and stop listening to me and get that done. And then you would already have started to have a relationship with those people. You can follow them on Blab and follow them on Twitter without leaving the room. Then, once you have been a participatory chat member, so you're asking questions, you're answering people's questions. Sometimes the broadcasters can't get to every question. I know a couple of questions we need to go back through and answer them, because the questions, although you can pin it, doesn't always work. And now the questions do not appear on the left-hand side either. That's all temporary. Blab is in beta. It may be in beta forever. We don't know. So we'll definitely get to the questions. Don't worry. And so you should be a participatory chat member, and you should be, if you click on those little hands, these are props. They used to be called feels, but then two women, God knows why, said they felt uncomfortable being felt up. So then they changed them to props. So now if you click on them, I know. Do you have that much free time to even be worrying about that? So, you can just click on that and give people props. You should be doing that. You should be commenting. You should be doing all of these things while you're in the chat. Guaranteed, if you do that consistently without even being a broadcaster, people will follow you. They will find out who you are. They will notice you. Guaranteed. People have gotten work just by doing that. People have gotten Blab interviews by doing that. People have had Blab shows just by doing the chat. Okay, so I would do that first. Then when you decide that you would like to venture into a seat, then venture into the seat. Make sure you're in there for about 10 minutes and make sure you're giving incredibly valuable information. So once again, you stand out among the crowd. People are like, wow, this person is an expert in their field. They really know their stuff. I'm going to check them out. I'm going to DM them on Twitter. I'm going to email them. I'm going to interview them. I'm going to whatever. So then you get known. Then maybe you decide to have your own blab show. It literally takes 20 seconds to set up a blab. And it takes just that long to decide to have a blab show. I decided to have a Bonnie Live show, and I did that for many, many months. And now I have another show, the Visibility Show, on Wednesday mornings with 2 other folks. So, but I decided, well, I see other people interviewing people, so I can interview people. I can do that. So I'll have a show. And that was exactly how much thought I put into having the show. And then I made sure that I invited quality people to interview. So see, I started out just sitting on the sidelines, being a good participatory chat member, asking questions, addressing, answering questions, addressing people's comments, saying hello to the people. Please say hello when you go into a blab, and please say thank you when you leave. It's kind of like a dinner party. It really is. And when you do this, you will be noticed for doing that as well. So you do all of those things, you will start to have a following on Blab before you have even stepped into a broadcaster's seat. Guaranteed.
You know, I love that. Etiquette. I mean, we didn't think about that. I mean, we need to be polite no matter where we are. So saying, you know, hello to everyone, and because everybody can read the live chat, right? They get to know you, and invite them to follow you. Put your Twitter handle and your Facebook in there, right?
It's almost like real life.
Almost.
Real life, right? It's like, okay, you have common courtesy. You know, you participate in the conversation. You contribute. You know, all of the things that you would do in a real life networking event, everything that you would do in terms of real life work ethic. You know, it's okay, go there, show up, contribute, help others, you know, be useful. And all of a sudden, wow, somebody notices you for being exactly what you are, helpful, right?
That's right.
So ultimately, this is just another tool for being incredibly helpful and useful in your marketplace. And it's another way that we can provide exposure and useful information in a very non-in-your-face way. Right?
So Bonnie, I want to ask you another question, because I keep coming back to brick and mortar, because Russ and I run a business. It's called Agency 258, if you've ever heard of us. We help a lot of brick and mortars. We help a lot of people who have events going around, and we're wondering, you know, how Blab can help them if they're not willing to get on the camera. So we're coming up with ideas on trying to figure out, okay, so they have maybe a language barrier.
We're getting really creative about this.
We're in Houston, so we have a lot of Hispanics. We have a lot of people who are from all over the world, actually. And maybe their accent's a little too harsh, and no one can understand them. I mean, I'm just trying to think outside the box about how Blab can help them as well.
Okay.
Any ideas?
So yes, and like I said, I firmly believe that Blab, I mean, I really, really believe that you can build any business with Blab. So, and this is the deal. Yes, in most blabs, not all blabs, but in most blabs, people do speak English. Now, there are blabs where it will say, you know, we're speaking Portuguese, or we're speaking Spanish, or we're speaking Chinese. I mean, you will see those blabs all the time. And those are just amazing. And that's so cool that people are doing that. And then there are blabs where people are not native English speakers, and they're like, please come in and help us with English. And people will do that as well. So there are lots of opportunities with that. Now, in terms of building your business, regardless of who you are and you have a brick and mortar. Okay, so number one, and hello, I Want a Speaker and Beauty Bubble, and I think I have greeted everybody else here. Oh, except for Rob. Hi, Rob. Okay, so in your title, okay, so see where it says marketing ideas that work with Bonnie Frank? Okay. So one thing that gets you noticed is to, yes, put your name in the title, but you should be putting a Twitter handle in the title, because your Twitter handle should be your Blab handle, should be your Periscope handle, should be your Fire Talk handle. Whatever live stream platforms you are on, All of those handles should be the same. Ideally, all of your social media handles should be the same, all of them. Hey, Nazim, welcome. So put your Twitter handle in the title because that keeps getting shared out again and again and again. That's number one. Number two, in the title, say in a very concise manner what in the world you're talking about, right? So marketing ideas that work, that's pretty straightforward. That's going to let everybody know what in the world we're going to be talking about here. We're not talking about landscaping. We're not talking about vegan cooking. I got nothing to say there. I like meat. I'm sorry. So I have nothing. We're not talking about yoga. None of that's going to happen. We're talking about marketing ideas that work. Okay. So that is wonderful. Now, if you're a brick and mortar and you are relying on, let's say, the St. Louis community, you should have hashtag STL. You should have St. Louis, Missouri. You should have something up there that lets people know where you are. And it's exactly the same thing. You would do exactly the same thing on any social media platform, right? You can use hashtags pretty much anywhere. They do work on Facebook, although most people don't really think that they work, but they do. And they definitely work everywhere else. So you could have a hashtag for a particular event. You can have a hashtag for your locale. St. Louis, the two hashtags for that are hashtag STL and hashtag 314, because 314 is the typical area code for St. Louis, although there is one other. So you can always do it that way. Now, why would somebody in Minneapolis who's, let's say, a landscaper in Minneapolis, go on Blab? Why in the world would they do that? They're a landscaper in Minneapolis. They're not going to travel the globe, probably, and do landscaping. Well, let me tell you. Number one, and hello, David, welcome, and Caroline. If you guys don't know Caroline, by the way, Caroline is an amazing artist. She goes in and out of Blabs, and she sketches people and sends the people the sketches. It is unbelievable.
Oh,
and
wow.
if you, Caroline, I don't know how to say your name. Soidi, I'm not sure how to say your name. She is amazing. You should be following her absolutely everywhere. And Caroline, I love your Snapchat stories. Love them. She is truly a phenomenal artist. When she shows like the process of what she's doing, oh my God. And where did we meet? On Blab.
Of course.
Okay, so why would a landscaper in Minneapolis go on Blab? Number one, you're positioning yourself as an expert in the field. You always want to position yourself as an expert in your field. I don't care where you are. I don't care if you're on Twitter. I don't care if you're writing a blog post. I don't care if you're at a networking meeting. I don't care if you're pumping gas. Somebody's going to need your services. And guess what? People know people. People have relatives in Minneapolis. People know people in Minneapolis. If you are talking about things that you have done and you are showing, they have a drop-in link now with Blab. And so I can show my website right here while I'm talking about, these wonderful landscape sculptures, or I don't know, I don't do landscape things that I've done for people, and I can show the actual photos. You have no idea what that could do for your business. In fact, there is no end to what that could do for your business. Number one, you could immediately get more business locally. Number two, you could get, like I did, I now write for iBlog Magazine. So in the latest iBlog Magazine, I have an article about live streaming. Where did the woman find me? On Blab. I was talking, as I do, with my hands on Blab. She came into my Blab, and I saw iBlog Magazine, and so I knew what it was because I used to be a full-time blogger. Ironically, when I was a full-time blogger, they were not interested in me writing for them. So, and then she hit me up, and I'm like, sure, absolutely. That was the first of 2 columns that I've gotten from there. So you never know. It is absolutely not out of the realm of possibilities for somebody to see you on Blab, just being you, talking about what you know, and literally to fly you to wherever they are so that you can do what you do for them where they are. That is absolutely not out of the realm of possibility. It's happened. It's already happened because of Blab. So if you want to position yourself as an expert in your field, Blab is a great way to do that. Whether or not you're brick and mortar, it really shouldn't matter.
It does not matter. It does not matter. And the only difference is, and the only potential confusion, Bonnie, I see that is, like you brought up some great points in the title, area code, city name, some identifiers that say, hey, this topic is, we're talking specifically about this part of business, this area of town, this community, whatever it happens to be. And then additionally, since we can upload our Blab sessions to YouTube, then we can repurpose that content once again. And so that's another way that we actually achieve some additional impact for that business, that brick and mortar, and those people that we're talking to. So, I mean, there's so many ways that it's just creative when you start thinking about all of the creative ways you can step outside the box and really challenge people to do something with Blab or live streaming in general. So how do people get a hold of you besides your website?
Here is.
Blab?
Hold on. I cannot type and talk at the same time. I have found that to be true. So I'm like, hold on, Bonnie's typing. Bonnie's not going to talk because God knows what's going to come out if I do. So there's my phone number. Give me a call. Let me know any questions that you have. Can I address some of the questions that have come up here?
Absolutely. And
okay.
Russ, if you need to pop off, you feel free to, but I want to keep going. I'm going to keep Bonnie as long as she'll have me.
No, I'm involved and engaged in the conversation. So I'm good right now.
Go for it, Bonnie.
I really enjoy I could go on for hours, and it's kind of one of those things where I love the conversation. I love the diversity. I love the interest in, we have people all over the world here, right? I just love that.
Okay, I have a real quick question, and even if you don't cover it right now, Bonnie, I have to know about Fire Talk. Okay, so Russ and I are looking at it. It looks like a ghost town. It looks more professional than Blab, but I'm like, okay, I don't get it. Why is there no one there? What happened? So
this is the deal, and it's okay. It's exactly the same with clothing. I did retail for 10 years. Even the first 3 years when I was working full time, I did it for the discount. I did it all 10 years for the discount. So it's exactly the same as clothing. Sometimes, hey, Robert, sometimes there is absolutely no rhyme or reason. You can do all the research in the world and you still come up with, I don't know. Sometimes there is literally no rhyme or reason to why people jump ship and go this place and then jump ship and go that place. What is different now as opposed to a year ago when you pretty much just had Mirror Talk and Periscope kind of vying for everyone's attention. So Blab wasn't around, Fire Talk wasn't around, My Eye wasn't around, Mevi wasn't around, Facebook Live hadn't been launched yet. So, and we still don't have YouTube Connect, right? So that's coming down the pike. So none of these things were able to reach us yet. You just had Mirror Talk and Periscope, which were the big ones at the time.
Right.
Now you have everything I just said and more. Our time, our attention, and our desires are being stretched quite thin. So you have a little bit of people here, some people there, some people over there. And what you will find is that, yes, people's time and attention is divided now. However, that is not to say that you cannot still build an audience wherever you want to build it. Wherever you want to build it. If you want to build an audience on Fire Talk, and Fire Talk looks like Periscope, but you can have two broadcasters at once. You can do the same thing with Mevi. Mevi has a split screen where you can have two. So at first glance, it looks like Periscope. Periscope is one-to-many broadcasting. And Blab, you can have up to 4. So we could have someone else in the seat there. So you can build an audience wherever you want to. If you are providing valuable content, you're doing it passionately and you're doing it consistently, your people really will find you, but they're not going to find you by themselves. You also need to let people know where you're going to be and what you're going to be talking about, right? So before, and this goes back to one of your prior questions. So before I go on Blab, I let people know where I'm going to be. I put it out on Twitter. I put it out on the 2 Facebook groups that I run. I put it on my personal Facebook. I put it on my business Facebook. I put it on LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn group that I run also for live streaming. So I put it around not just once, and I let people know where I'm going to be and what I'm going to be talking about. And when it's my show, I have the graphic already created and the title already created and everything already done days before I'm going to go live, so that about 2.5 days before the show starts, I can start promoting that show. And if I'm interviewing somebody, I absolutely expect that somebody to be promoting the show as well, because I send them the image and I send them the link and I'm like, here, this is, put this out to your people. So once again, you got to let people know where you're going to be. When do you announce the show? So I talk about the show wherever I'm going to be. I just said everywhere I do it, and I do it about 2 to 2.5 days ahead of time. Now, the Wednesday show that I'm on, which is called the Visibility Show, I'm on with Becky Anderson and Brandon Wagner. And so they are much more e-commerce than I am, but all of us talk about lots of things together. And so really, they promoted in their Facebook groups. I promoted on my Facebook group. We promoted a little bit, and we have no problem filling the room. So that we do a little bit less there. Hello, Erica. Oh, my God. Okay, so Erica Blair, I met her on Snapchat. There you go. And she is in, where are you? Thailand. I think she's in Thailand.
Excellent.
So yeah, see, there you go. There's no end. There is absolutely no end. Now, somebody also, somebody said, okay, so, I challenge you on what you're saying. What if you're in the middle of Idaho? Ask WT Support said something like that. What if you're in the middle of Idaho and you have, who had no presence in Idaho that got any sizable return on their time investment with Blab itself. It just isn't that saturated, and there isn't enough traffic. There can't be. Okay. So I can tell you that there are some large names of people, some people who have been around social media for a very long time, who have a very large following, tens of thousands of people, who have said just that. So they have chosen to stay out of Blab. However, I just said, if you want to build your business, you can build it very easily on Blab. I don't care if you're in the middle of Idaho. I don't care what your current following is. If you do exactly what I have been saying, you will build a following. And if you want to build your business and you want to build your bottom line, you can. I don't care where you are, and I don't care what you do. You can do it. However, I challenge, ask WT Support, that person in the middle of Idaho didn't do what I just said to do. I guarantee you they didn't do what I just said to do. Otherwise, you wouldn't have put that comment up.
Well, here's an addition to that. Russ and I, we're talking about a content creation monster here. So it's one video. Then you take that video and you have it transcribed, and now you have a blog post. And you can put any keywords you want in there about your community and all the things that are going on in your community, right? Then you can take that audio and put it on iTunes and all these other places for a podcast. Mm-hmm. And then you can use that information to create books, on your industry. So I am challenging you to do that same thing. Take Blab and do things with it. It's awesome.
Use it as a starting point. It's not an end all for everyone.
That's right.
And it is a lot easier to chat with somebody, and just like we're having here a conversation today with Bonnie, and have that conversation develop into content that you can use in other areas of social media. I mean, it's about building authority. It's about building your momentum, and sharing and caring. You know, it's not a one and done thing. It's an ongoing effort. I mean, that's, you know, we've been marketing since day one, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, marketing is not going away. This is just another tool in the toolbox.
That is absolutely right. And I love how you said that, Russ, because it is. You shouldn't ever rely on one thing for your business, right? You should really have a toolbox with lots of different things in there. Some days you're going to use the Blab tool. Some days you're going to use the newspaper tool. Newspaper, yeah, people still read them. Some days you're going to be using the, you know, Sirius satellite radio tools. Some days you're going to be using the Twitter tool, whatever it is, right? So there's lots of different tools. So I put in a link to the Biz Cafe. And for those of you who watch the replay, and if you're not seeing the chat, you just go to bonnielfrank.com and click on Biz Cafe. It's the same thing. Thanks, Walter. So the Biz Cafe is what I started many months ago when I had more Periscope broadcasts than I knew what to do with. And I knew that I certainly did not want to just put them up on Catch, which is now shutting down. But I certainly did not just want to put them up there so that anybody could watch any of my replays at any time. That didn't make sense to me. I thought, well, I should be monetizing this, and people who want to watch my replays should have to pay for it. And that's what they do. So I put my Periscopes in there. I put my Blabs in there. I put all of my best stuff is in there. Anything that is good, but not the best, gets pushed up to YouTube. And anything else gets trashed. I've trashed 2 things so far. So everything else is. I want to make sure I hear
what you say, because what you do is you create your content, you curate your content, and then you provide a platform that you can use to monetize that platform, that content.
Yes.
Rob Bartlett, a friend of mine, asked a great question. What is the range of project dollar value obtained via Blab? And that's an interesting question and an excellent question. And, you know, I think it goes to the source of, okay, who's on Blab? You know, what, and I want to, my take on that, Rob, is the fact that Blab, like I said, is only a conversation starter. You know, you can build up a lot of other content as a result of doing a Blab. So what are your thoughts on that, Bonnie? You agree, disagree, or you want to expand on that?
I agree that it is a conversation starter. I don't agree it's just a conversation starter, because people.
I know, when he said that, I was like, it's just a conversation starter.
No, it's not. Yeah. It is true that it can be just a conversation starter. I mean, it depends. It depends on who is the person on Blab, what are they saying, and who's in the chat, right? But no, I mean, people watch my Blabs and they hire me. I've already, given you examples of that. So no, it's not just a conversation starter. But Twitter shouldn't just be a conversation starter either. I mean, it depends on, once again, it depends on how you're using it. And if you're on Blab and you're just chilling, I have no use for you. I'm not going to be watching your Blab, and the likelihood of you getting hired out of a Blab where you're just chilling is very, very small, if anything above zero. So you need to think about how you're presenting yourself on Blab, what value you're giving, and and what you want to do with that Blab, right? How do you want to spend your time? I want to be spending my time helping others, number one, and making money, number two. That's how I want to spend my time. So if I'm not doing those two things in that order, wherever I am, I should stop doing wherever I am. I should stop being in those places. Right? So I know for a fact that Blab helps my PayPal account. So I'm on Blab. But if you don't know where your money's coming from, then you should probably figure that out, and you should contact David Kutcher, who's up there with a red bow tie. You should definitely get in touch with him, because he has an amazing tool. Amazing. And it's free. He was just on Jonathan Tripp's Blab yesterday talking about it. Yes, Confluent Forms. There you go.
That's fantastic. Well, we have to wrap up the show today. And Bonnie, it's been a pleasure and an honor to connect with you. We have a few other shows today, so if anybody wants to jump in, we can follow Future Media TV on Blab, and happy to answer questions. If somebody wants to have us invite someone into the show, happy to do so and have them connect with us and our guests like Bonnie Frank and a rock star in the Blab streaming community. Thank you for being here, Bonnie. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And all of Bonnie's information, feel free to call her, 314-327-9926. It's fantastic to be here today. Lots of great guests in the sidebar asking great questions. I love it. I want to make sure that we continue this trend and see how far we can take it.
Russ and I are here on Future Media TV, 8:30 every Tuesday and every Thursday, and we want to bring value, just like Bonnie said. We want to make money, of course, but we first want to make sure that we give value. So isn't that why we connected with Bonnie? Because she is right on, right? We don't want to take anything from anybody that we don't deserve, right? We want to give and receive. So thank you for being here, Bonnie. We'll see you around Blab, and we're going to have you back real soon.
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you. It was really fun. I loved meeting everybody. Feel free to call if you have any questions, or feel free to DM me on Twitter at Bonnie L. Frank.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Take care.